Anyway, the way the system, because I'll call it HTS probably from now on, but I'll try to keep talking about it as the human terrain systems. The way the system worked was that each brigade, a brigade is about 3 to 5,000 soldiers, would have embedded with them a team of 5 specialists. So it's not a lot of impact, right? I mean, five people, embedded in a team of, or in a group of 3 to 5,000 people, it's not going to have a lot of impact. I mean, the idea, the military, as I've said before, the military, specifically the infantry, is a very conservative institution. So it's like, who are these people? Like, get them out of here. We just want to go kill people. That's what we do. Protection, killing, that's what we do. So this team of 5 specialists would be composed of a number of folks, one of whom would be an anthropologist or somebody who at least has an MA in anthropology. So that means that you might have somebody who would say 23, because it would be not unheard of to have somebody go through, starting at age 17, graduate at 21 with a BA in anthropology, and then do, say, a 1 year of coursework, and then some kind of write-up of some participant observation of some kind, and have an MA in anthropology. That doesn't necessarily make that person an anthropologist, because really, when we talk about anthropologists, you have to spend a lot of time studying this stuff, and you have to spend time writing about it, and you have to do, really you need to go and be in the field with the group you're working with or on, or the people that you're going to study for a while. I mean, you can't just do this in a couple of months. You have to go and work with the group, and you got to be around them and see the pattern of their lives, and so it's complex, right? So which is why it takes a doctorate in anthropology is really what you're after. You want people who are not professors, but who are doctors of anthropology. And it's a research degree, but it also means that you've been in the field, because an anthropologist typically would then go to, you might go and study, let's say you're interested in the way that, I don't know, let's say the way that soldier moms, so soldiers who are also mothers, handle the death of their fellow soldier mothers in a group, let's say. So you would, as a researcher, you would seek out groups that are of soldier moms, basically, who are support groups, that kind of thing. And then you would ask if you could visit the group, and then you would say, I'm just here to observe and introduce who you are, and then you would sort of back up and start listening. And you would interview people, and you would listen, and you would spend time with different people, and you would identify candidates you wanted to talk to, and you would talk with them. And over the course of a year, maybe 2, you would come out of these basically observing, being on the ground with these people. And you'd come away with and begin to report on how they, in other words, how are the anthropos, the people, dealing with each other. Now, you could also do something more dramatic. I mean, that's quite dramatic, actually. That would be a very interesting study. Or, if you want to really know, you could say go to Syria while it's in the middle of a war, or Bosnia. You could do the kind of thing that a lot of the journalists do. And essentially, again, the same kind of thing. Ask for permission to visit with a group of people, and then go and work with those people and observe and live with them, basically be with them over the course of a number of months, and then leave and then come back, and you might do that over the course of a couple of years. This is what's called participant observation, which is standard for anthropology and a number of other social sciences, because this is a social science, right? It has methods. There are ways of doing things. Just the way media studies has methods, political economy has methods for figuring out, what people argue and what polls mean, and all political science and so on. Also social science, you have a method for figuring out what's going on. So do the anthropologists have different methods for going into the field, talking to people, and so on. Okay. So ideally what you want in these teams of 5 people, 5, is you may have noticed that Tim has a problem counting. So good, nice easy number 5, yay. So what you want is somebody who's experienced in the field, who has done field work already and can say, I'm missing something. I think it's this. Let me go back, and they're on to like where is my weak spot and so on. Okay. So this process of having somebody who at least has an MA, it's like that's a start, but having an MA doesn't make you an expert. I mean, it really does not. I know that from the undergraduate world, a graduate degree looks like a big heavy-duty thing, but one graduate degree at the MA level is, to sort of paraphrase an old lawyer joke, it's a start. Anyway, so because one of the things that, for instance, happens is that as you begin to live with the people and you begin to observe them and so on, and then you record at the end of each day, you record your notes and you reflect on who you are and how this is changing you and what your position is vis-a-vis the group and how you find yourself getting emotionally invested, and because you're going to get emotionally invested. One of the things that is known to happen is that the anthropologist goes native, as they call it, going native. And going native means basically that you fall in love with, one way or another, the group you're studying, and you may not come back from that. Sometimes when a person goes native, that's it. They move over to this. They've been interested in the culture for a reason, and they get into it, and they're like, this really makes sense to me, and they don't bother coming back. They're like, nah, I'm done. I'm happy here, and so they're always an outsider inside the culture. But so there's a. I'm trying to remember who's. I think it's Turgenev or Chekhov story called "At Home Among Strangers, a stranger among his own." Yeah, "At Home Among a stranger among his own." Yeah, they made a good film. A sort of maverick Russian filmmaker, Nikita Mikhalkov, made a film of this, and he did a good job. So the issue is that you become at home, as its title suggests, you become at home most when you're among these strangers, and you're a stranger among your own. So you're in this uneasy position, but you're more comfortable here than you were where you came from. Okay, fine. So that's very common. And one of the things that anthropologists are trained to do is realize that they're getting invested and get ready to step back, because the job is not to fall in love with the group. The job is to get out and to come back with the information, right? That's the point. There was a reason why you went, and so your job is to come out if you're going to help, because a lot of times anthropologists go to help, and a lot of it is listening and paying attention. Okay, an example of a colonialist who went native in a military context is Colonel T.E. Lawrence, otherwise known as Lawrence of Arabia. So here's somebody who became so good as a young man at understanding, in this case, the different tribes who were struggling and who the British wanted to bring into the fight in World War I. But also they wanted to own Arabia, which is really not a thing. But anyway, this piece of land, which they were like, okay, well, this is Arabia. Remember that in the same way, the British made Iraq. Iraq was sort of this, it wasn't there. It was created by the British Empire, really. Lawrence began to adopt the ways of the people that he was living with. He began to dress like them. He learned the language. He was a very smart guy. And he became very, very sympathetic to the way they thought and to their philosophy, to their religion, and he eventually took it on. Which meant that when he went home, quote unquote home was no longer home. Britain, England was foreign to him, and he had become essentially a native son of Arabia.